guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel and Happy New Year. We are the first week into January, so of course this first video is going to be about the whole past year. We're going to be doing all the recaps of January through December of 2023, everything that went on, just in case you guys missed it. And I do have more videos like this, so I will link those in the description below. So let's get to the video. Okay, we are starting in January. Now, here's about the time when I had little Charlie for about a month. He was about 3 months old, so about 4 months now, so I continue raising him. He's getting used to the cats, and I had taken him to the vet, and the vet told me not to put him outside if it was below 10 degrees. So it had been below 10 degrees when I had him inside, and I never put him outside. So he's been in the house ever since, and it's just been a joy to have him here. Now, it's also about the time when I ordered 20 chicks from Tractor Supply, and all of them arrived dead, except for one was still moving, so I tried to basically save it. I named her Lucky Lucy, and I had put the others outside for nature to take them. But Lucky Lucy didn't make it. She only lived 5 days, but we did try. But it was January, so think about mailing live chicks that are supposed to be under a heater during the winter. So I don't recommend getting chicks from the mail, especially in the colder weather, and I decided not to do that again. Okay, we are in February now, and if you guys remember, I had a rat infestation inside my workshop. I had saved up a bunch of HelloFresh boxes because I get them weekly, so now imagine 4 boxes per month that I saved up in this workshop garage, and I put all the other boxes of stuff that I ordered inside those and basically just stored them in the workshop for purposes of burning them. So I wanted to burn them for fires and have basically free wood. So that was a big mistake because there was a huge rat infestation. Chewed holes through all the bottoms of the boxes. They took the insulation and they built nests at the bottom of these boxes, and I had a big problem. They transferred into the chicken coop because that's where I had been keeping the food, and I had to do something about it. So I did make a post on social media. I did get the idea from them to burn the boxes, so I did take all the boxes out of there and ended up burning all of their basically homes. That was their home, and I didn't want to create that home for them, so I had to get rid of their homes. To prevent any more from coming in, I also tried to relocate the chickens' feeders and changed a couple things where I took away the feeders every night so that those rats and mice didn't have that source of food to eat. That's just how it was. The chickens weren't going to have access to their food all the time, and they were going to have to wait until I woke up to give them their food. Now, I did start renting 4 RV spots in September of the year 2022. So by February of 2023, of course, I'm still renting out spots. Also in February, I planted 10 Thuja green giant trees to form a privacy wall. I had already planted 10 trees the year before, and only 3 of them survived, so I wanted to put up an extra privacy wall, and they started growing. They are to grow about 3 to 5 feet per year, and they're going to be about 20 to 30 feet tall and 12 feet around. This is also about the time where I started to plant my seedlings for the spring, and I wanted to do so by getting lights and heat mats. I turned my small bedroom in this mobile home into basically a little greenhouse, and I started all of my seedlings. At first, it was about 92 different plants. This is also the month I decided to replace the farmhouse sink inside the tiny house. I had some ideas to put my tiny house on Airbnb, so before I did that, I wanted to fix the sink. I didn't want the guests to have to experience this broken sink where it was kind of dangerous. It was like, it can cut you very easily. So I didn't want that to happen, so I did end up replacing it, and thank goodness I did, because it's a bigger sink and it's actually a really nice sink. So now we are in March and spring is hitting us, and I decided to, of course, start cleaning my house to put it up on Airbnb. The idea is going stronger in my head that this is going to work out, so this is what I did. Cleaned the house, brought it all over here into the mobile home, set it all up into my little small bedroom in the mobile home, and it was crazy storage. It was being used as storage for the longest time. And I cleaned the tiny house as well as purchased a bunch of supplies to set it up and decorate it. This included, like, say, towels, sheets, bedding, decorations, and all of the stuff that I would be giving them. So like toiletries and coffee station. I just wanted to set it up for like a little Airbnb, and this all happened in March. Now, although it is March and in February is when I burned all those boxes for the rat infestation, I'm still trying to fight these predators. I'm trying to basically stop them from going into the chicken coop. So I'm covering a bunch of holes, putting sticks in holes, putting chicken wire up and hardware cloth and steel wool, stuffing them in holes. I'm just trying really hard to get them out of the chicken coop. Now it's about the time I also started planning for my garden. So this is going to be like the template of how I'm going to put it all together. I did not have anything up yet, so I hadn't had anything built, but I needed somewhere to put it all, so I needed to start building those gardens. So put it on a piece of paper, how I was going to build it out, the materials I was going to use, all of that. Now April is here, and now is the time when I started creating the gardens. And if you guys missed it, I made a video about it. You guys can check it out right there. I started putting these gardens up so that I can transport the seedlings that I have in my mobile home bedroom into the gardens. I used a bunch of leftover landscape timbers to border each of the gardens. I made 4 different gardens, and I put bird netting around there with some stakes so that predators couldn't get in. Little did I know that bugs could get in. I didn't think of that as much as like mammal predators, so they didn't get in, but the bugs did get to some of those plants. More on that later. And in April is also when I took the opportunity to nail those landscape timbers down around my wildflower gardens. So the storms had been taking all of those landscape timbers and pushing them into the brush, pushing them into the outside of my property, and I would have to replace them every single time. I'd have to go with my golf cart and pick up every single landscape timber and rebuild every wildflower garden because the winds had taken them and put them somewhere else. So to prevent that from happening, I put some rebar into all of the landscape timbers, and now it doesn't happen anymore. I have not done that to the front of the land, but maybe that will be in the plans for this year. I have a property that has older buildings on it, so in the year 2022 I had a lot of bug problems, so I knew that same thing was going to happen in 2023. So in April, before all of the bugs started waking up, I started spraying the whole property and basically preparing for when they were all going to wake up. When they touch this stuff, I guess it deters them and or they die, and I just don't want them around anymore. So that's what I did in April, is got that ready for when they all started waking up from their hibernation. In April is also when I had a second layer of gravel poured in the parking lot. When the guests were coming, they were damaging the rocks and the tarp was showing underneath, so I put another layer down. It's a little bit stronger now. April is also when I listed my tiny house on Airbnb. So after the month of March, getting it ready, cleaning it, setting it up, I finally listed it on Airbnb and VRBO. I'm going to be putting those links in the description below so you guys can check it out if you want. But I put it up on Airbnb and had a friend stay so that they could give me a 5-star review to start out the process of everyone else, I guess, trusting this place that it would be a place they want to visit. Now we are in May and my accounts got hacked on Facebook. So I had a tiny house group called Tiny House Central. That got hacked, they got into it and basically kicked me out as admin. I also was kicked out of my Goddess of Herbs page and my Tiny Dreamer page. So I had to make 2 new pages. I decided not to make another tiny house group, but I did remake my business pages and started inviting people there and letting people know that the other pages were hacked. It was really unfortunate because I had spent a long time trying to gather followers for those pages. I had about 15,000 followers on Goddess of Herbs, and then I had to start all over. So quick tip, do not click on any links inside emails, even if it's Facebook saying that they're going to disable your account if you don't do something ASAP. Read it carefully, read the email and who it's coming from, and do more research before you open those emails. May is also when I decided to get more chicks. Now, instead of even getting them through the mail, I went into the Tractor Supply and I got 11 new chicks. One of them didn't make it, unfortunately, RIP Chelsea, and she's outside now. I let the wildlife take her, but I still do have 10 brand new chicks. So I first started putting these chicks inside a big bin inside the small bedroom, and that's where they stayed for a good 3 months before I let them outside into the chicken coop to meet the other girls. But in that month of May, it was a pleasure raising them inside that bedroom. Getting to know their names, getting to know how they are, and just caring for them. Having them get used to me and, you know, who was going to be taking care of them. It was just a really nice joy. The cats also liked watching them grow up inside that small bedroom. When I take this lid off, Charlie wants to get inside, so I will set him on my lap and hold him here so he can watch them. Now we are in June and the Airbnbs are still going. I think I've had about 13 guests at this time, only being up for 2 months, so it's actually quite successful. And there's a lot of mowing to do outside. I have to go out there with my riding lawnmower and maintenance the areas where, say, the guests are going to walk. So lots of mowing, lots of weed eating, and still raising the chicks inside the small bedroom in the mobile home. July is here and I have been steady taking care of these gardens, trying to basically, when I was in apartments, I was growing them in pots, so it was a challenge to put the stuff in the ground, ward off the bugs, try to keep them alive, stake them up if they're falling. There's just things that I did not know what I was getting into with in-ground gardening. So for this next year, I'm going to learn from those mistakes. This is also when I built a trellis for my cucumbers. And I also put some crates underneath my watermelons. So these are things that I learned along the way, and I will be incorporating them this year as well. July is also the time when I planted my morning glories, and I probably planted them a little too late in the year, but that's okay. They still came up. Now we are in August and I'm still at it with those gardens. This time I'm trying to weed a lot. I'm learning that a lot of weeds are coming up, so I'm dealing with that. A lot of them are dying because I don't know what I'm doing yet out there, so there's a lot learning when it comes to that. This is also the time when I let the chicks out into the chicken coop to meet the other girls. I put them into an introductory cage first for a couple weeks so that they can get used to each other without having interaction. This is also the month where I treated them all for lice and mites. I didn't want my chickens to introduce mites and lice to the chicks and vice versa, so I just wanted to treat all of them, so I did that with ivermectin. Now September is here and the chickens are out of their cage and finally mingling with the chicks. I also ended up making a chicken tunnel for the chickens to go all the way around the workshop so that they had some greens on the outside ground to basically pick at because they're still inside their coop, so they no longer free range. I also recreated the door that's on that chicken tunnel because the first one didn't really work out. It was not as well made as I wanted it to be, so I made another one. The Airbnbs at about this time, it's been September now, I've had about 63 guests now, so it is doing very well in the few months that I've had it listed on Airbnb and VRBO. So we're going to continue doing that. Half the months are being filled up, and we're just gonna keep going with that. It's been successful. Now October is here, and it was a sad month for me. My favorite chicken, Gloria, she passed away. She was sick. She had some things wrong with her. I had taken her to the vet, and I'm not really sure if they knew what was wrong with her either, but we were doing all we could to save her. I gave her medicine. She got antibiotics. I had been giving her bath soaks and like different treats and different calcium and vitamins, and nothing worked in the end, and she ended up passing away. I did bury her in the grave with Dixie and Hennifer, so she is in the mulch pile with her sisters, so rest in peace, Gloria. October is also when I had my first tent camper. Now I've been on Harvest Host and Hip Camp for a good year now, and I had never had a tent camper, so this being my first one, I was really excited. She tented back in the area by the chickens. She had her own fire pit and everything. It was really cool. It was really cool experience, and can't wait to have more tent campers. I can't actually wait until I put up my other Airbnbs, but until then, the spaces back there are for tent campers. And now we are in November. This is when I decided to leaf blow all of my gravel paths. For some reason I had not been out there to do it, and I hadn't been walking the paths myself, but one day I went out there and realized I could not see my own paths. This is when I leaf blown my paths, and now the guests can finally see those. Next thing will be to take out those weeds. That's going to be happening this year, so stay tuned for that project. So I have 3 of my original chickens, and they sleep inside the chicken coop. And I have the 10 chicks, and they sleep in the chicken run, which is the fenced in part on the outside of the chicken coop. This is the time when it starts to get a little cold in the year, and for some reason my 10 chicks sleep on the outside of that part instead of on the inside, so I need to basically protect them from the wind in that area. So I put up a bunch of their food bags on the fence. I poked holes in them and put twist ties in them just to give them a wind barrier so that they can sleep better at night if it starts snowing, or when it starts snowing, if the wind, it's not going to hit them when they're sleeping. So they just choose to sleep out there. I don't know why, but we're just going to make it as comfortable for them as we can. And yeah, using the old food bags is a lot more affordable than going to buy tarps to put up or shower curtains. Right now I can't afford that. And in November, the frost also hit early, so I ended up bringing in my 2 avocado trees. I ended up putting them in my small bedroom. They don't have any lights or heat on them, but they are just using the natural light from the outside, and come springtime, I'll put them back outside so that they can continue to grow. I may bring them in every single year for a while until I'm able to plant them in the ground, but I really want to try to grow them. I'm in West Tennessee. Tennessee is zone 7, so they're not supposed to survive here outside, but we're going to try to make them, even if I have to cover them up or put them in a greenhouse or even keep them in here, but we're going to try. And I also brought in my lemon plants. I have about 5 or 6 of them. Not all of them survived that first frost that we had, so they died. And we're just going to hope that the rest of them made it. I will also bring those out in the spring and probably bring them back in until they get bigger. Now we are in December. It's kind of a packed month. This is when I decided to plant some Paw Paw trees. 2 or 3 of the Paw Paw trees that I ordered before all died. I had them outside, and even in the summer I could not keep them alive. When I had gotten them, they were only like a little stick, so when I ordered new ones, I got 3 or 4 foot tall ones so that I was able to plant them in the ground They're dormant until the spring, so I will be watering them every once in a while so that they can take root and start to just grow and outside. So this also starts the planning of my food forest. I'm going to be making this whole property into a food forest. Lots of it's going to be edible, medicinal, educational, and yeah, more on that later. But more in December. Here we go. I am missing the tiny house lights. I have fairy lights inside my tiny house, and because I am no longer living in there for the time being, I don't have any lights inside this house. So I put up some lights, and I'm really glad I did this. I only took 2 or 3 strands to do it, and it looks really nice. I'm probably also saving electricity, which is a big plus. And unfortunately, my rat infestation is still here. I'm still seeing them in the chicken coop. I'm still seeing them inside the workshop. And unfortunately, I know some of you may not like this, and I don't even like it, but I don't kill animals, but I decided to start killing these rats and mice because of the diseases that come with them. So I just decided to get snap traps. I won't show any pictures here, but it's very sad to see them. I am still trying my hardest to deter them with peppermint and taking the chickens' food away and not giving them the boxes to nest in. So it's still a struggle and a battle. And I'm planning on making a new chicken coop so that I don't have so many, I can protect it like when I first build it, rather than trying to protect a building that was already there, that I'm trying to deter from mice and rats. Even the bucket with water that had worked in the beginning, first rat infestation in the workshop, I put water in the bucket, and for some reason they're smart and they were just avoiding the water. I didn't know what to do, so I took away the water trap, and that's why I got the snap traps and other instant kill traps so that it's more humane. Now, by this time in December, I have had 94 Airbnb guests and 24 RV guests and 1 tent camper. So my renting and the community is going well so far. We're going to just continue the success with the rentals and the community. I am so excited. I cannot wait. So I believe that the year 2023 was a challenging year in many ways, especially with the gardens. It just is what it is. It was also challenging with the chickens, raising new chicks. You know, now I have 17 animals that I look after, and 13 of them are outside, fending for themselves. So I'm constantly trying to, you know, protect them from predators. I do still see, say, foxes on my camera and predators around the chicken coop. So maybe in the year 2024, we're going to be focusing on building that extra chicken coop, making bigger gardens, learning from the mistakes of 2023, making better gardens, and possibly even planting fruit trees. So a lot of landscaping in 2024, as well as more guests. We're going to be, you know, networking, bringing guests in, and just having a great old time. I hope you guys are enjoying my journey. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button below and click the notifications bell so you can receive a notification each time I post a new video, which is every Sunday. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Happy New Year! Of course, what we do every year is I show a video of the past year's events. Don't put any of this. Those kind of worked, but they didn't work. More about those. No, don't put that. I've been renting out RVs. I started this last year, but don't put that. Now I do rent out RVs. Don't put that. I'm doing this for over a year. And in February of this year, don't put that. Also planted some trees. I planted the 10 green, don't put that. In April, I also had a second layer of a parking lot poured. So I had gravel poured, don't put that. And now July is here, and I have already planted the plants. Don't put that. Don't put that. You know, in a couple months. So they did end up coming up that same year last year.